Have you ever felt like the person who claimed to love you the most was also the one who hurt you the deepest? One moment, they idolize you, you're their everything. The next, then they're cold, dismissive, or even cruel. Why does it feel like narcissists secretly despise the very people they claim to love? If you don't understand this, you'll keep searching for love and validation from someone who only knows how to tear you down. Worse, you might even start believing that you're the problem, when in reality, there's something much darker at play. I've spent the last 20 years researching self-worth and narcissistic relationships. As a coach, author, and survivor myself, I teach practical systems to help empower you. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why narcissists hate the ones they claim to love, the twisted psychology behind it, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. Being hated by a narcissist is confusing. If they despise you, why don't they just leave? Why invest so much effort in punishing, criticizing, or tearing you down? Why cling to someone they claim to resent? Most people assume that hatred means rejection, that it's about wanting someone gone. But with a narcissist, hatred isn't about pushing you away, it's actually about keeping you close. For a narcissist, both love and hate are transactional forms of possession, not connection. They don't love people for who they are. They love them for what they can provide. Likewise, they don't hate people for who they are. They hate them for what they aren't providing, and they use that hatred as a weapon to coerce compliance. When love turns to hate, they don't want distance, they want enmeshment. To them, you're still an object that belongs to them. Their sense of self depends on narcissistic supply. Whether through idealization or devaluation, you exist to reinforce their fragile identity. The moment the idealized person fails to meet the unrealistic expectations or stops feeding their ego, admiration flips into devaluation. And when that admiration fades, the person becomes the next target of blame. Hatred keeps you entangled in their world. This is why their hatred feels obsessive. It's not just anger, it's self-preservation. If they can hate you, then they don't have to deal with themselves. If they can keep you emotionally tied to them, whether through admiration or conflict, they maintain their sense of power. They don't care whether the supply comes from love or hate, admiration or fear, as long as the emotional entanglement remains. Narcissistic hatred is a hook to keep you engaged. That's why their hatred is never quiet. Even in silence, it lingers, waiting for a reaction. Every insult, guilt trip, and passive-aggressive jab is bait, designed to make you defend yourself, explain, or question your own reality. And the moment you do, they've succeeded in pulling you back into their orbit. But not every narcissist is obvious about it. Covert narcissists weaponize absence. Their silence, coldness, and passive rejection provoke just as much rage. They don't need to scream to make you feel small. They just have to withhold in a way that leaves you humiliated and scrambling for answers. For example, my ex-husband insisted that my daughter and I attend weddings and parties and gatherings, only to ignore us completely once we arrived. No argument, no explanation, just a quiet, public display of rejection, a punishment intended to make me feel uncomfortable and uncertain and responsible for fixing a problem he would never explain. And this is how their hatred traps you. It pollutes the environment, the wedding, the holiday, the afternoon. It casts a shadow over everything, making you feel like it's your responsibility to fix the mood so that things can go back to normal. However, narcissists have figured out how to exploit power dynamics within relationships, that the person who cares the least controls the relationship. So by acting indifferent, they manipulate you into working harder to repair things. What you don't realize is that they actually need you more than you need them. They depend on your emotional investment, but they make sure that you never realize it. Their hatred makes you feel like you're in trouble, like you have to figure it out, what you did wrong to make it right. But the more energy you spend to try to solve it, the more they're winning. This cycle drains you while fueling them. It can last for hours, days, even weeks. And by the time you realize what's happened, you've handed them all of your time, energy, and focus, while they've gained more narcissistic supply. What most people don't realize is that narcissists don't hate in the way that pushes you away. They hate in a way that pulls you back in. Their resentment is interactive, designed to force your participation. Narcissists don't just hate you privately. They make sure that everyone else does too. And who do they smear the most? the ones they once claimed to love. Their closest relationships, their spouse, children, siblings, are the biggest threats to them because those are the people that have seen the truth. Those are the ones who know where the bodies are buried. And in the narcissist's mind, threats must be eliminated. But cutting you off isn't enough. They need to destroy your credibility, rewrite history, and make sure that no one believes you if you ever tell the truth. They do this through a smear campaign, a public performance of hate, where they set the narrative, recruit others, and revel in your destruction. If they can turn enough people against you, they feel invincible. I know this firsthand. For years, I stayed silent, convinced that speaking up would only make me look like a troublemaker, and I made myself as small as possible, hoping that the hatred would just stop. And it didn't. Family members and so-called friends left hateful reviews, trolling messages, smear my name at every opportunity. Even now, years later, it still hasn't stopped. The smear campaign isn't just about ruining your reputation. It's about keeping you psychologically entangled. If they can't control you directly, they will try to control how others see you. If they can isolate you, confuse you, and keep you stuck in damage control, they still have power over you. But the most brilliantly cruel part of a smear campaign is the double bind it creates. If you try to defend yourself, you look guilty. If you stay silent, the lies spread unchecked. Narcissists have no shame in setting the narrative first, telling wild, deceitful stories to get ahead of the truth. But when you push back, people step back from you instead. The more you explain, the more unhinged you sound. And that's the trap. You exhaust yourself trying to prove the truth while the narcissist sits back and watches. This isn't just about hatred, it's about power. And as long as you're reacting, explaining, and scrambling to undo the damage, you're still under their control. But that tactic doesn't make it stop. You can't shrink your way out of hatred. The smear campaign isn't just about ruining your name, it's about keeping you locked in a battle that you can never win. And the only way out isn't clearing your name. It isn't proving them wrong. It's realizing that their need to hate you was never about you at all. The biggest mistake people make is taking narcissistic hatred personally. It feels personal. It's designed to feel personal, but it's just a manipulation tactic. You can't make a narcissist love you, and you can't make them hate you. Trying to fix it, seeking fairness, or hoping they're going to change will only keep you trapped. The mindset shift comes when you realize that you'll never be small enough to make them happy. Narcissists always demand more submission, more sacrifice. The only way to win isn't by appeasing them, it's by stepping into your own power. Stop playing defense. Stop worrying about whether people believe their lies. Stop trying to manage their perception of you. Let them say what they want and live in a way that makes their words irrelevant. Narcissists manipulate you by making you believe that they don't need you and that they hold all the power because they care the least. But the truth is, the very thing they use against you is what will actually set you free. The person who needs the relationship the least has the most power. This is what narcissists don't want you to realize. They act indifferent, but in reality, they're desperate to keep you engaged. They don't care if that engagement comes from love, hate, or fear. As long as you're reacting, they're winning. This is why emotional detachment is your greatest weapon. The moment they see that you're not invested, you're not explaining, you're not trying to fix things, they lose their grip. Even if they're still smearing your name, still obsessing, still hating, it no longer affects you. And once they no longer affect you, they lose all power over you. Being hated by a narcissist can feel overwhelming, but you aren't hated for who you are. You're hated for what you refused to sacrifice. Their hatred was never something you could have prevented, and it's never something that you need to fix. The ultimate goal isn't revenge or winning their approval, it's indifference. Narcissistic hatred is enmeshment, and that enmeshment works both ways. You don't want to hate them back. That's still being tied to them. You don't want to be hurt by them. That's still giving them power. The real victory is when they mean nothing to you. Thanks so much for watching. YouTube thinks you're going to love this video right here on screen right now, so go ahead and give it a click. It goes even deeper into spotting narcissists, avoiding their traps, and creating boundaries that actually work. Don't miss it. It's the next step towards creating the life you deserve. I'll see you over there. Okay, bye.